We're
You
starting?
are, yes,
Yeah,
maybe.
okay.
You are a data scientist. How did you start it?
Yeah, as we said, it sounds cool, so so that's the main motivation. But I started at university, so for my bachelor's, I went to the UK and I did economics, and it was kind of a bit of a guess because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And economics was nice, but I wanted to do something a little bit more like mathsy, and I was also always like a little bit interested in like learning how to code and that kind of stuff. So I was looking at different courses I could do for my master's, and I came across analytics, and I was like, that sounds actually quite interesting. So I applied, I got in, and in analytics we also had quite a lot of data science courses, which I found more interesting than other ones, especially where we got to like code in Python, create some models, do some data analysis. And that's how I realized that I think this is where I want to go in terms of my career. Also, like the end of my master's was uh, like a short internship kind of project where we worked for like different companies. For me, it was like an energy company. So it gave us like a good idea of what it might be like to work in that kind of job. And then I graduated. I applied for different jobs. I moved to London. I worked for a consulting company in their data science division. Um, and yeah, that's how I started, and now I'm working as a senior data
And you
scientist
studied in Poland or in
in
the
the
UK?
UK. In the UK, yes. So that was also an interesting experience on its own, I guess.
So you studied bachelor in the UK and the masters too?
Yeah, both of them at the same university.
Why exactly UK? What was the difference, for example, if you would study in Poland?
I'm not sure if I can say because I've never studied in Poland, so I don't have a
Why
good
did you choose the
comparison.
UK?
I think it's like one of my best friends. She, because her father got moved for work abroad, she used to go to like international schools. And I think I was just always like listening to her talk about it, like all those people from different cultures. I was quite like fascinated by it, and I was like, I sort of want to experience that on my own as well. Like I want to meet people from different cultures, different countries, and just moving to a different country on its own. That's an experience. So so I think that's why really, and the UK probably just because it was like easiest. Like it still wasn't easy because not that many people did that at the time. Like some people did, but it wasn't like very clear how to go about the process and so on. But they speak English, so that makes it easier because everyone speaks English. Yeah.
So and you got also a nice English accent.
I feel like my accent evolves over time, so but yeah, thanks.
And then your current company, you work as a senior data scientist in a generative AI team, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And it is a new domain, like your previous companies. What was the other domains that you worked with?
So I actually, because I worked for the first two companies I worked for were consulting companies. So because of that, I got to work in different sectors. It was like I worked for utilities, for public sector, for consumer product and retail, for finance sector for a short while, but I didn't like it very much. I don't really like finance and stuff. So different sectors, and because of that, a lot of different projects, but it was more like traditional data science. So for instance, building a product recommender tool based on some models and algorithm, or I worked a lot with text data, so with natural language processing, where we would, for instance, detect like what people are talking about on social media, what's trending, and so on.
And what is the difference between, like, what did you learn in working with Gen AI?
Gen AI is quite different, and I'm not sure that I prefer it to traditional data science. It's I would say it's maybe a little bit less creative, just because like you don't build models from scratch because they're already there. Like you don't really get to like train them yourself, because they train on like huge amounts of data. So that's why you sort of work with what's available from different publishers like Google or OpenAI and others. Um, so I kind of miss that part, and there's less working. I used to really enjoy like cleaning data, but I don't think many people would agree with me. A lot of people hate doing this.
What is
Uh,
cleaning data?
so when you get like a data set and there are like missing values, or like you need to correct some values. I worked with text data, so there was a lot of you remove certain words that don't carry any meaning in terms of the analysis. There are like typos that you need to correct, and now I don't really do this because we sort of directly build with models that have already been trained, and you can like work to fine tune them and so on. But it's different. At the same time, it's quite exciting because, well, there's a lot of hype around Gen AI right now, and a lot of companies are using it. So you get to work in a very quickly evolving field, and just sort of see how it's actually shaping the industry.
How much Gen AI now is doing the job of data scientists, and what do you think how much it
Mm.
will do in the near future? And even
hmm
is it make sense to learn data science, start to learn now?
I guess depends what kind of a data scientist you are and how much you're using Gen AI. It's definitely become a part of, but I think as with any like IT technology kind of job, it's become a part of it, where it just helps you find certain information quicker, or find mistakes, or understand errors that you're running into, or like helps you create code that you might be struggling with. But I mean, it still makes a lot of mistakes, and like I can see that when I use it, sometimes it suggests me things that just make no sense, and or I know are inefficient. So my knowledge still is quite handy, and I wouldn't ever like rely completely on generative AI. It's more, I use it more often to like help me find information quicker, or like, I don't know, check something, parts of my code, or like for errors, as I've mentioned. So I do use it. I wouldn't say I use it like massively. I think it still makes sense to go into data science, because actually out of all the like technology jobs, like this is the one that's like quite closely related to Gen AI, and so I think like data scientists will still be needed. Mm, and it also just sort of depends what direction companies are gonna go in, because uh, well, I guess one way would be to reduce the headcount of workers, but if other companies start keeping the same amount of workers and just sort of assume they're more productive with Gen AI, then other companies will try to compete with them. So they'll start hiring again. So yeah.
It's like for engineers, the
hmm
AI writes good code, but you have to check how good
Yeah.
is it, because it can leave bugs, but sometimes it can fix and find bugs faster than
Yeah.
engineers.
Yeah.
If we go jump to a bit another topic,
hmm
it's maybe can be a bit stupid question, but how could you explain the difference between data analyst and data scientist?
Data analysis is more about you get a data set and you kind of look for insights. So you prepare some charts. You kind of maybe sometimes you'll probably get some questions from the business, like what's the most profitable division, or like how that correlates with I don't know, then the number of workers or the variety of products we're selling. So it's looking for insights, whereas data science is more about like taking that data, training models, building models, working with algorithms to predict things, to detect things, to generate things.
Mm-hmm. And right now, if someone wants to start to learn data science, where he should start and what skills needed to be complete data scientist?
Complete data scientist.
Yes, because why I'm asking, because for
Yeah.
example, for engineers, before when I started to learn, it was easy. Like you could learn even HTML, CSS, and some JavaScript, and you can get a job in some small company. But now you should know bunch amount of like tools, languages, JavaScript, TypeScript, etc., state management. What about data science? How was it in the past, and what is it now?
Well, I guess the main difference is the Gen AI that appeared or like became more popular and developed quite fast. For data scientists, the go-to language is Python, and that's still the case. That has not changed at all. I imagine that if I were just fresh out of uni and I wanted to apply for jobs right now, I would definitely try to upskill myself in the field of Gen AI to just understand a little bit better how it all works, what kind of like the key terms. And I guess that for me the simplest thing or the most pleasant way of learning that kind of stuff, apart from like some articles and courses you can do, is going to meetups. So for instance, in Krakow, we've got the Gen AI Krakow meetups. They I think happen every month. I've been to like a few of those. Uh, just because it makes things a little bit more tangible, like you see what other people do, you also meet people, and I think I used to think that networking is a bit of a bullshit. I don't know if I can say this.
I thought you will say it's the most important, and I wanted to say fully agree.
No. So I used to think it was not important, but
Okay.
I've learned that actually, well, I mean, I'm here because I know you, so that's, I guess, networking as well. But
Yeah, because we work in the same company, and I came to your desk and I
you
talked to you.
did. This is networking as well, isn't it? But if you go to like meetups, you can like meet really cool people, and because of that, then you can get involved in like some projects or like learn about like some interesting jobs and apply. I think it helps like to have
1000%.
from work.
Every job I
Yeah.
think that I get, it was somehow through networking or every opportunity. Most of the things really, when I see like videos when they ask millionaires to what advice would you give to young people, I'm thinking when I will be a millionaire, I will say like networking is the most important stuff. So maybe it was not as important in the past, but I think it always was important. But for now, it is the most important because even the engineers, for engineers, the market is so big, and to get some job or get some connection to something, you have to have some friend from that company. There are also because companies review applications that are by referrals more quicker, and there's I think almost 100% chance that they will review your application. All the interviews that I got, I think in recent years, I never got an interview when I send my CV to somewhere, but I always get an interview when my friend referred me.
Yeah, I mean, I think well, that definitely helps, and like then you're also like aware, because you may not know that some company is hiring, especially if they're like a smaller company as well, and like you get the kind of inside view of what it's like to work there, and I don't know, just like even like having someone to consult how they approach different problems, all that. There's a variety of benefits. I fully agree.
Yeah. When I started to learn programming, and there were some small coding tasks, etc. All the time, I found I have a lot of friends that I just connected to them via Facebook groups about engineers, and now they're team leads, managers in some companies, and actually very cool. Coming back to the learning topic of Gen AI, in what depth level of Python knowledge you should learn?
That's a difficult for an entry level
Yes.
job. Well, I mean, to be fair, like for me, it was what I had learned at university, and we basically had like a subject dedicated to Python. But for me, it was really, I had a data camp account back then. And I would recommend data camp for people who want to learn data science. It's like a platform. You need to
Data camp.
Data camp, yeah. You need to pay for access, but they've got quite nice tutorials and they're interactive, so you kind of learn through doing. And I guess maybe it's different for different people, but for me, like learning through doing is the most efficient way to learn, rather than just reading things or I don't know, listening about it. And like that's a nice component as well. But when it comes to coding, like doing is what helps. And then, well, the internship that I did have as part of my master's helped because we had like a proper project where I had to just sit down and do lots of coding. And so I don't think it's like that much, but you should feel fairly comfortable. It's hard for me to say like what exactly people should know, but yeah.
What else? So you should know the Python, like
Yeah.
basic data science knowledge of concept, I believe.
Yeah.
What tools are the most relevant now?
I mean, Python is literally the most important thing, I would say, because you like most of your data work will be coding, working with data, checking it, verifying how well your models work, so knowing all the frameworks and like measurements that helps. There are like some packages that are like quite common, like TensorFlow or Pandas, quite basic, but
It is also connected to AI, right?
TensorFlow,
Yes.
yeah. But then there is quite a lot of AI in data science in general. So
It's
yeah.
in all domains. And how was it before?
Maybe not all domains. I guess it's because it also comes down to the question like what do we exactly classify as AI? Because when we talk about like the history of AI, what often is mentioned as start of the AI is decoding the Enigma code, deciphering it, and that was like in 1940s, like as that was
Yes.
the Second World War. So if we look at AI like this, then a lot of things are AI. So I guess it's where you draw the line. But now I forgot what the original question was. Because I started thinking about like other history related stuff in terms of AI. But yeah.
No, it just was like that TensorFlow, right? That was
Yeah,
the
that's one of
connection.
them, or like Keras,
I was like
Courage.
the modern Gen AI's LLMs, etc. It's
Okay,
in
so
recent years.
that's
So what was
separate.
before?
Well, before it was still. So I guess the main difference is that before we also like used neural networks, for instance, for like detecting what people are talking about and so on. That was also unsupervised learning.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Like I remember 10 years ago or something. There were
So
guys
it's
that were
neural.
working in it.
Yeah.
It's also like the basic of the rise of AI. Just after Gen AI, I think it became the mainstream and everyone started to
Yeah.
get and learn.
Yeah, so it's yeah, exactly like you're saying. And then like Google released this paper called Attention is All You Need. And that paper, I guess if someone wants to get a little bit more technical and wants to understand Gen AI better, it's a good paper to read because it introduces the transform architecture, which is like the type of architecture that LLMs are based on, and that's kind of what Gen AI is based on. So
Is it some blog post or?
it's a scientific paper they released, but it's like publicly available.
So is it easy to understand for non-scientists?
I think.
Or you
Well,
should have a
I mean, I
PhD?
read it and I understood it, but it goes into a lot of details. But I think if you're not a data scientist and you're just like sort of starting to learn about the topic, then I would still Google it, because there's a lot of articles about it as well, and they make things a bit simpler to understand and kind of explain like key concepts like self-attention or pluralization or positional encoding and that kind of stuff.
How much you need complex math in your work? Someone needs to know like math in deep depth, or just have a mathematical mindset?
No, I think you just need to think logically, and that it's more that it's not like typical math. I mean, like, yeah, you have to calculate some stuff sometimes, but it's not really. Data science is more about like, yeah, digging into the data and just, yeah, I would say logic is what you need.
So if we put the summary, basics of Python, the basics of data science, and the basics of Gen AI, it's the package that you should learn to have a full initial understanding of how to go to the market of Gen AI, of data science.
Yeah, I think so. So I think this is like the core parts of a data scientist. Then I would also say that it does help if, and helps you stand out a little bit if you have like also good communication skills, or like, because you could do amazing work as a data scientist, but if you're not able to explain it to the business or like some other stakeholders who don't understand data science, then no one's going to know about it and no one's going to understand what the value is. So for me, well, through working in consulting, I feel like I've really developed my like presentation and communication skills, and that's really helped me in general in my work, and I can see the benefits of it. So that's the more like soft skills part, and then on the other hand, we've got the technical part. So I know for that, like, engineers like when data scientists have no like key engineering concepts, just because it's then it's simpler to work with them in terms of like releasing code and maintaining good practices.
What about freelance? As a data scientist, is it easy to find some freelance jobs, or it's mostly corporate jobs,
Like
positions?
B2B, you mean? Or like working for like different companies?
Yeah, like doing a freelance fully remote,
Mm-hmm.
B2B fully remote, etc. Or it's more
It's
corporate
as
positions like.
it's simple. Like it's same with engineers, I think. I used to work on B2B before, and then I found the current job, and they don't want to do B2B, but but I wanted to work there, so I was like, okay, that's fine.
I mean, mostly like some contract-based works, etc. So it because for engineers it can be some 6 months project. Data science, I'm not sure. Like they usually short terms or very long term projects.
They do have short term ones as well. I can see that I'm getting a lot of LinkedIn messages about this. Like there is sometimes it's like a 12-month contract or a 6-month contract. So if someone's into short contracts, I don't think I would be, but if someone is, then yeah, there is definitely opportunity out there.
And in short, what do you do in your daily job? Could you
My
explain
daily
to a
job.
kid?
To a kid, okay.
Yes, in the simplest way. Like what can be example that you do?
Uh,
Because even like I work in the corporates for a long time, but I don't have still clear understanding
Okay.
what data scientist.
You mean is okay? So a Gen AI data scientist, or should I? Okay, well, maybe I'll give two examples. So before I went into Gen AI, I mentioned that I worked with on really different types of projects. But for instance, the product recommender I've mentioned, it was about like an online shop where we had data on like previous orders and customers, and based on all of that data, we were able to create a model that would help us suggest what kind of products they might like, and so it would just come up as once they've logged in, it would come up as a recommendation. Hey, you may also like this. I think that's quite common on like in like online shops. So it would be like the whole process of first like preparing the data, identifying the right data, then training the model, checking if the results are good enough in terms of like predictions. So I think we were like, we would sort of like hide the most recent purchases and check if people have actually purchased what we would recommend to them. Although it was a bit tricky to verify actually, because they purchased it on their own without seeing the recommendations and so on. But it was one of the ways we could verify it before like deploying model to production. And now, because I work in the Gen AI space, it's sort of around. It's more about like building products that are LLM based, so or like Gen AI model based. So we work with those models. There is a lot of prompt engineering in that as well. There is a lot of like safety stuff or like security stuff, because companies are concerned about security. So just making sure that models are being used appropriately, that we monitor how it all works, like we monitor how people use it, also to understand like what it's useful for and what like clients need.
Thank you, Berta,
Thank
for
you.
joining me today.
Thanks very much.
I know that it's stressful, especially first time to talk.
Yeah, it's my first time in podcast.
Yeah, also every time feels like it's the first time. Thank you for bravery and explaining us a bit about data science.
Thank you. It was great to be here and share a bit more about my own experience. Thanks.
Thank you.